Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I thought today we'd go a little bit old school and do a sort of minimal makeup video, as well as a little bit of a declutter of my makeup. I talk about makeup and whether or not you should declutter it quite a bit, or I have done it in the past. And I think it's a topic I want to return to because I'm always kind of in limbo with it, in the sense that I think, should I declutter makeup or should I just use it up because I don't want it to be wasteful? At what point do you accept that you're not going to use a particular product and so to let it go because it's cluttering your space? And despite the fact that I have, compared to years ago, what I would call a very small makeup collection now, there is still room to downsize. There is stuff I just know now I'm not going to use up, and I'll talk about the various products and why. So in terms of my makeup and what I'm doing now, I have washed my face this morning. I have really simplified my skincare routine and I want to bring you an updated video on that at some point soon. I've got so many video ideas for October, I honestly don't know how I'm going to get them all in. In my head, I'm thinking I'll have to go to 2 uploads a week again, but finding the time to do that is going to be really difficult. So some weeks you may get 2 videos, some weeks you may get 1, and we'll just kind of have to see where we go. I really want to retouch on some of sort of the old style content that a lot of my original followers would have subscribed for, because I'm very aware that I've been doing a lot more of the financial content lately and the saving stuff, which I love, and I think my followers who are more minimal do still watch that content. But I know some of you didn't subscribe for just me to really niche down and go for that tiny sort of section of content, and there was other stuff I used to put on my channel as well, and I just want to make sure that I'm still, well, creating the content that kind of started this channel in a way, and the sort of stuff that attracted subscribers over the years, because I do still love making videos like that and, you know, kind of some of the old school stuff. So I figured today I'd do this makeup one because it's one I wanted to do anyway, because it's an update of my minimal makeup routine, and it'll give me the opportunity to do a bit of a declutter as well. It's so easy for me to go off on a tangent. Right, so I was talking about skincare. So I've really simplified my skincare routine. That will be a video in itself. I washed my face, I put on SPF, I'm using the Glossier Invisible Shield at the moment, and then I put on just my moisturiser. And then I just like to let that set in for a bit, so I'll go and get ready. I'll go and make my cup of tea, or I will go and get dressed, or I'll do my hair or something, just to give that a little bit of time to work. And then I'll be ready to start makeup. Now, my skin is a bit chaotic. No sort of miracle products will fix this. I've tried so many different things, and some of them work for a while, and then it's almost like my skin adapts and it knows better. And so it doesn't last for very long. And then I just come back to basics. I'm so aware, you know, I started getting acne at 9. I'm very aware that this is just running on a cycle. It is completely hormonal. I know when my skin is going to be worse. I know when my skin is going to be better. And it is just what it is. And I think setting this standard for me to have absolutely flawless skin, I'm wasting so much money, I'm stressing about it way too much, and it's just not worth it. So actually something I want to explore, and a lot of you have put this in the comments whenever I've talked about my skin, is the best thing you can do is reconsider diet and what you're eating and what you're drinking to help your skin. So that is something I want to look into. So in terms of not completely going over the top with my makeup, I say trying to keep it minimal. I mean minimal in aesthetic, but I guess slightly minimal in products. I'm not going to use loads, but I'm using more than your average person probably would. But that's because for me, I do feel like I've got problems that I want to cover up. But I'm not using a foundation at the minute. I usually use the Glossier Perfecting Skin Tint, but which isn't really a foundation, to be honest. It's very light wearing, but I haven't even been using that at the minute. I've just been dabbing on concealer where I need it, and then sort of blending that out. And to be honest, because I need concealer in quite a lot of places, that does then dab out to a lot of my face. I've stopped using brushes and sponges to blend that in, and just using my fingers, mainly because I feel like you get the most out of the product because it's not being absorbed by a sponge or anything. And I think it might be more hygienic. I do wash my sponges and my brushes really regularly with a proper cleaner that you're supposed to use for them. But even so, I feel like if I've just washed my hands and then I'm going to put my makeup on, that's probably the best thing for my skin than using any sponges. I'm then just going to go over with the Glossier Wowder. And this is, again, a really lightweight wearing powder. So it's just nice to go over on that. And at the minute, I'm going for this look because it's not too heavy. So it doesn't look like I've really, really caked it on. But at the same time, it gives a little bit of coverage. It does not completely cover this. And I'm kind of at a point where I'm okay with that. Like, I don't mind seeing a little bit of the imperfection coming through, and on my better skin days it won't be as obvious. On my bad skin days it really will. But I'm noticing a slight improvement in my skin since I've not been absolutely piling layers of foundation and concealer and powder and everything else onto my skin and just keeping it really simple. I also have noticed an improvement since I stopped using serums in my skincare. I think they were too oil-based for someone who has skin that clearly, you know, clogs up and does not do well on its own. So for a base, that's all I do. I've then got the Collection Sculpt and Highlight. Super cheap, like really, really affordable. But this is one of those products where, as you can see, let me open it, I am using both sections. This is a product I will be able to pan fully. It's not like one of those ones where you end up with a bit left over, a shade you're not going to pan, and so really that is playing to what I like. So just a little bit under here to contour that. I do a little bit around the top here, almost brushing it into my hairline, and then just to give a bit of shape around here. And then anything that's like left over on my brush, I just put a little bit at the sides of my nose. I then go back in with my normal brush and just buff that out a little bit because I hate like the really obvious line. I want this to look as natural as possible. So when I say minimal makeup, I kind of mean minimal in look. I'd like it to look very simple. You know, you're never going to catch me unless it's some sort of fancy dress situation with like bright blue eyes or something. Great suggestion in the comments of one of my videos about using up eyeshadow palettes, and I've shown this I think in a video before. Using shades in your eyeshadow palettes for things like highlight and blush. So I am using the highlight in this at the moment, but for a while I was using a couple of the shades in here for highlight. But for blush, because let's face it, this old Max Factor one is on the declutter pile today. It is past its prime. It was past its prime probably 4 years ago. I go in with a bit of these two shades. So this is like a nudie pink, but not like a really bright pink. And then this one's just got a bit of a shimmer to it, so it kind of adds a bit of, well, shimmer to the look. If you're actually interested in the names, this is a really old palette. It's the Too Faced Natural Love palette. It's the first eyeshadow palette I ever got. It's got to be over 5 years old, which I know you're not supposed to do, but I'm not wasting all that. That's ridiculous. And I'm using Honey Butter and Honeymoon, and I just kind of dab into both and then just put it on. I'm not going to be able to talk and do this bit. And then just a little bit of the highlight shade. Like so, and that is basically face done. Then I do brows. I have just come to the end of a Glossier boy brow. I mean, look, you can see how worn that is. There is just nothing left in here. There's nothing going on whatsoever. So that is something that will be on the declutter pile, but I'll do that in just a sec. And so I have the blonde shade for this, and I just use this. It really just helps to keep my brows in place more than anything, because I don't have very good brows. I suppose, like my very fine hair, I was never going to be a person with thick, luscious brows. So we work with what we've got. And then if this bit is just looking really, really faint, which often it does, I've got a NYX Lift and Snatch brow pen. And I just fill in a little bit. But this is nearly running out as well. I do have another one, and I've gone for a slightly lighter shade next time to use when this one runs out. But I know that I can't be trusted to open a new one until I've used up the old one. Otherwise, the old one will never get used up. So I've got to make sure I don't open the new one until this is completely run out. So really just fill in the gaps a little bit. Like so. So like as time's going on, my eyebrows are getting more and more different to each other. There. And then for mascara, I actually use a brown mascara rather than a black. I just think it's softer around the edges and it just looks, I don't know what the word is, just with it being softer, gentler, more subtle. I really prefer a brown. It's not as harsh. At the moment, for my everyday look, I'm not doing an eyeshadow or anything like that, or an eyeliner. I just keep it very plain and just do my lashes. In fact, I'm not even curling my eyelashes or anything like that. That's generally something I will only do for a makeup look if I'm going out. I try to keep my makeup under 10 minutes because when I'm getting ready for work, I don't have a lot of time to spend on my makeup. This has taken slightly longer because I'm chatting as I go along, and usually I'd just be in the zone and cracking on with it. And then last is lips. Now, if I could, I would be using my Glossier Ultra Lip, and I have that in the shade Villa. It's like my perfect shade. It is the perfect texture, everything. The only thing I would say that it is not great at is it's not long lasting. It does not wear, and you have to reapply it quite a lot if you want to keep up with that look. But I've run out again. It's not been that long, but because I use it every day, I just keep running out, and I need to order a new one. But I've been putting it off because last time I went and got one and I said I will save it until I've used up my other lipsticks, and apparently my willpower snapped and I did not do that. And I know if I go out and buy another one, I'm just going to do the same thing. So I've not bought one. So in the meantime, I'm just using this NYX pencil lip liner, which looks very bizarre, just like that. And then I'm just using a lip balm at the minute. This is the GlossierBalm.com. It's the cherry one, and I just put a little bit on my finger and then just rub it in and then blend it into the lip liner. I don't know why, but I've really gone off matte looks for lips, and I always used to be about a matte drying liquid lipstick. Do you remember that era? That was a good time. But now, I really just prefer, like, I don't want to say shiny lip. I guess hydrated is the word I'm looking for. And that's it. That's what I'm doing for my makeup at the moment. I just want to go and get that off my fingers, and then I'll show you what I want to declutter. Okay, so I've got all my makeup out in front of me. At the minute, the only thing I'm not doing any decluttering for are my eyeshadow palettes. I still have all the same ones, so if you've seen my videos before, you will be very familiar with this collection of 6 eyeshadow palettes because it hasn't changed. So I've still got all of those ones and the 2 Urban Decay ones, so we are still just going to continue working through those. I don't feel like I need to declutter any of those at the moment. So sponges, I have found 3 that I just don't use, so I'm going to get rid of. I've got one relatively new one that I'm going to keep, but as I've said, I've been using my fingers more than anything to blend my makeup. I need a little decluttering pile. Let me just use this makeup bag. I'm not getting rid of the makeup bag. It will be useful to put things in for the time being. In terms of face products, that's this lot. So I'm talking foundations, concealers, and powders. Oh, pop that back in there. Somehow got this in such a jumble that nothing fits, but it does fit, and I will Tetris it back into position in a minute. But I don't feel like there's anything in here I need to declutter. Even though I'm not wearing foundation at the minute, I will go back and use them when I need a heavier makeup look, if I'm going out somewhere and I really want to go all out with my makeup. So I don't feel like there's anything to declutter there. I've got the old Glossier Boy Brow that needs to go. And I think it is time we let go of browsings. I have been trying to work through this for years. These are going to fall out if I try and tilt that. You can see, like, I've tiny bit panned those, but I don't like the brow look I create with this. People have even commented on it in the videos, like it's too blocky and basically looks ridiculous. So I think we are past browsings now, and it is time to declutter it and let it go. Another thing that's going is the Max Factor Cream Puff Blush. This is the oldest product I have. It must be about 7 years old, maybe more, which is really gross. But as you can see now, you can see the shape of the pan. So we are very nearly there. This used to be like domed over the top. And when I put my brush in it now, you basically get nothing out. I think that is just compacted to the tin at the bottom. And you've seen I've got an alternative now using up my eyeshadow palettes, and that creates a much better look because I'm not getting anything out of this. So that can also go. One thing I thought I was going to declutter is the NYX 3 Steps to Sculpt palette, because I have used all of the highlight and it's got to the point now where I can't really get much on my brush to use the contour. However, this little base colour is basically the colour in the eyeshadow palettes that I've panned. It's the one I've got nothing left of is in any of my palettes. So I thought it is worth keeping just for that. So when I do my eyeshadow, which again isn't very often, so I don't anticipate using this quickly, I have got a base shade. I then just got this little Katie Loxton makeup bag for all my brushes. So they're in there. I don't need to get rid of any of my brushes. They're fine. Over the years, I've generally upgraded my brushes. I like the Sigma ones most. So I've got some like random ones that have come in sets that aren't the best quality. And then I've got just better ones that I want to keep. Mascaras, I have 3. So I mentioned I'm using brown for the most part. I've also got a black waterproof, which is handy when you need a waterproof mascara. I'm thinking like when I went on one of my cruises and I was out by waterfalls and I did not want to get mascara everywhere. But that is a black. And then I've got the Glossier Lash Slick also in black, which is great if you want a really thin lash look. So I'm not using these 2 very much, but they're fine to keep. There's nothing wrong with them. So 3 mascaras. I also just have a liquid eyeliner that I rarely use, but again, if I do want an eyeliner, I sometimes go in with that, or I sometimes just use black eyeshadow with a really thin brush. I'm using up the rest of the NYX eyebrow pen, as I mentioned, and then I've got the new one, which is unopened and is staying that way. And then this is the boy brow that I'm currently working through, and the Lift and Sculpt palette. So that is pretty much all my makeup, except for the thing that really needs the declutter, which is the lips section. So I'm going to be keeping my 2 Glossier Ultra Lips that are still fine. These are the 2 shades I've got, which are Portrait and Fate, and when I allow myself to, I will replace Villa. I'm also going to be keeping my Balm.com, the cherry one, but I think it's time, because it's a bit grim and I've had it for a very long time, to get rid of Balm.com in Birthday. This was the first one I got because I am obsessed with anything birthday flavoured, scented, themed. Like if anything is ever birthday cake flavoured, and I'm usually talking about food here, you know, if like somewhere releases an ice cream that's birthday cake flavoured, I am all over it. Ben & Jerry's did one for a while and then they got rid of it and I was really gutted. I just love things birthday cake flavoured. But it's time for that to go. I'll keep the lip liner because, as you've seen, I've been using that. This needs to go. I've kept this purposefully for this video, but I have talked about time and time again, like using makeup past the recommended amount of time you should have it open. And I've always said, as long as it doesn't change in consistency, colour, smell, all of those things, and it's still just working as it should as a makeup product, I see no reason to get rid of it. I've got my first product that has actually changed its consistency. So this is a number 7 liquid lipstick, and it's just different. When I put it on, it's gone all watery and weird, and so I was like, I'm definitely not using that anymore. So I kept it just to be able to say, I've had a makeup product, I know what it means now when they change consistency. It doesn't smell or anything, but this one's changed, and so it feels a bit icky to want to use that, so that's definitely going. I've got Mint Balm.com. This one's still fine. It's very nice when you want a refreshing one. I actually like to put this on at night sometimes, so I'll keep that because that's no probs. I've got a couple of tins of Vaseline. This one's tinted, which is lovely. It kind of works in the same way as Cherry Balm.com, so I'll keep that. And then I've got just a pink one, but it goes on clear, and that's really helpful because sometimes I get dry around here. I say sometimes. I was using a skincare subscription that I have now cancelled, and it was quite strong to try and sort this out, and then because it was so strong it then dried out my skin. It's like I can't win here. but one of the worst places was around the corners of my mouth, so I was using this for a while just to ease that. I have kept a tiny sample of, it is Ultra Lip again, but in a different shade. This is Vesper, because I wanted to try it out to see if it's one I will like. It's a lovely deep red, which might be nice for the winter. Ooh, I might keep it. I was going to say I'm going to get rid of it, but I actually might keep it in case it becomes, you know, my new winter shade. I have a Nivea lip balm, which I might just put in my handbag as it starts to move into the winter months. It's very handy to just have one in case you start to get a bit chapped. So I think I'll just keep that and do that. And then I have, this is just a Ted Baker lipstick. And it's not a favourite, but it's the closest thing I've got to my Glossier Villa shade. So I'm keeping this because every now and then I am just using it when I want to recreate that shade. I've still got my 3 shades of the Sophia Colourpop collection. I'm going to get rid of Bury Me in lipsticks. It's a weird shade for me. It's a pink that just doesn't suit me. Like a really minimal pink, like I guess what I've achieved here, I can get away with. But this is almost too much of a deep pink. It doesn't work for me, so I'm going to get rid of that one. I kept Bikini Bottom, but I've really stopped using it. I don't know why, I just don't feel like it suits me in the same way, so I'm going to get rid of that one. But I am going to keep Fred, just because it is a really good, solid red lipstick, and every now and then you can't go wrong with those. So I am just going to keep the one of those. I've then got 5 sample sizes of various NYX liquid lipsticks and lip glosses. These all came in an advent calendar probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I think it's time we just let these go because I'm not reaching for them. Most of them are basically empty anyway, and I'm just getting the last bits out of them. So I think it's time we let those go so they're not cluttering up the drawer anymore. I've got an old NYX liquid lipstick. I say old. Oh yeah, that is basically empty. I thought it was quite full. That's weird. That can go. And then I just want to check my Steeler. This looks absolutely fine, but it is a couple of years old. It's a purple and it is a liquid lipstick that dries exceptionally matte. The Steeler Stay All Day, unless they've changed the formula in recent years, is like the toughest liquid lipstick that I've ever come across. It just holds up against everything once you put it on. So this is my only purple, and I'm a bit sort of like, I really want to keep it just in case. It can be nice in autumn. It is very rare nowadays that I'd go for a really bold purple lipstick. But I did wear it at a fancy dress party not long ago. So I'm going to hold on to that just because I do like the Steeler ones. But that is far fewer items now in my little pot, which is good. So that's looking much better. And so that now gives me a few things in here to declutter. And that's everything for this video. So that's my makeup as I'm doing it at the minute. This is my everyday for work makeup look. We've had a little declutter of the drawer. It's feeling much better now. And so goals achieved for today, I think. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Could you let me know, it'd be super helpful, down in the comments, just which of the content you are more interested in. Are you here for sort of the older content, like this sort of video, like the decluttering, like the whole house declutters and the clean with me's, and the new sort of financial and saving content is less your interest? Are you here for the newer content? Are you happy with a bit of both? It would really just help me in terms of what content I put out there, because I love making all of it, but if some of it just isn't what you want to see, then I guess there's no point in me making it. So let me know. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not already by clicking this button right here. And if you're sticking around for another video, I will pop one just here that I think you might enjoy. I will see you again soon in another video. Until then, take care. Bye.